1492, Christopher Columbus landed in a tropical paradise. He thought he'd discovered a route to the riches of the East. Instead, he landed in what we now know as the Dominican Republic and discovered the wealth of the West. Surrounded by the azure waters of the Caribbean, the Dominican Republic is rich in natural beauty. Its people are warm and friendly. Yet life is not easy for many on this island nation. Poverty, political challenges, and poor health are common. That's why 150 Amazing Facts and Granite Bay Hilltop Church volunteers traveled to the capital city of Santo Domingo. Their goal? Share the wealth of health and the good news of the gospel.
Well, friends, we're here in the Dominican Republic, and Pastor Ross and I thought just so many miracles have happened. We wanted to talk about it before we forget about everything that just transpired. During the week, we really touched on several areas. There was a group involved in construction, medical, training of the pastors, VBS.
That's right, even visited an orphanage. A trip like this takes a lot of planning. We actually started the planning about a year ago, and then we began to put all the pieces together, and it takes a lot of teamwork to make a trip successful like this.
And of course, we have Carlos and Cecily Munoz, and they came with us. And you know, one of the neat things about Carlos Munoz is that he is half Dominican. And so it was a perfect bridge for him to be here and be able to relate with the people and help teach us a little bit about the culture.
Cecily did a lot of the coordinating for the meeting, all the way from scheduling and coordinating with transportation, working with the local conference. She was very helpful and central to the success of this program. And of course, you always have challenges when you start up a program like this, with all of the gear and setting up the dental equipment.
They had to bring like 21 bins filled with supplies from the United States. There were generators and there were compressors, and a lot of it got hung up at the airport, but the conference was very helpful in that they called the health director of the country, who realized that these Christians were bringing in this free service and it had been stopped by a bureaucracy. They made a couple of phone calls and they said, let those bins in the country, and next thing you know, it went through customs.
Well, you know, Pastor Doug, we kind of had a neat experience. We were going to go pick you up at the airport, and the president of the conference, he gave us a phone call and he said, listen, meet us at a certain place. So they escorted us onto the tarmac and we went the back way.
He's a close friend too. He studied with the president of the country.
So often I fly into a country and you know, you try and dress comfortably when you fly. I've got my baseball cap on, and all of a sudden I see that there's these people dressed in suits. There's the chief of police, there's the head of the Air Force, and they say, Doug Batchelor, come with us. I think, oh no, I'm under arrest. What did I do? I want to dress better. I said, but I got to go get my bags. They said, oh no, we'll get your bags, don't worry. So where's Carlos and Jëan?
Carlos he go the shorts.
Well, what they didn't tell me and Carlos was that you weren't allowed to go into that room if you didn't have long pants. Well, it's hot. We were wearing shorts. Now, Pastor Doug, the Dominican Republic is a great place to visit. And of course, the claim to fame is the first establishment of Christopher Columbus, actually in the city where we are now.
And while we were here, we videotaped an amazing fact of faith about Christopher Columbus.
Columbus often wrote in his journals that he believed he was going on his epic journey. Woo. Welcome to Amazing Facts.
Just driving around in the Dominican, a lot of people, it seems, jammed onto some pretty narrow streets. And I guess the traffic rules are suggestions.
Yeah, the lines in the road, I think, are suggestions. We actually saw, I think, a couple of accidents while we were here.
Be with us as we build. Pray that you keep everyone safe, help us to be productive, and may this make a difference in the lives of many people. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Now, when it's come to the construction side of the mission project, we've done this a number of times, but this time we partnered with Maranatha. And what a joy to be able to work with an organization that is committed to building churches. The preparation had been done, the pad had been laid, the structure was in place, the blocks were there. Our team, they were all excited.
If the block is touching the block like that, the rest of the wall is going to be run. The beginning is gonna be like a little bit difficult, but with the practice, you're gonna become professional.
We're gonna have a big old gap there, so.
Yeah, we need to slide it
So
over.
slide it over.
The only place on the brick that we put was on the corner.
We started off with, they already had some of the blocks down, and so we just started off. They showed us how to do it, we started doing, and we did more than they expected, apparently. Multivitamin 30.
Health is one of the greatest needs of any community. People are struggling with their health. First world countries, Dominican, everywhere. And people really appreciate if you can come and you can help them feel better. They were doing medical work, surgeries, dental work, dental hygiene, women's health, pediatric, pharmacy, health education. And some people were coming as early as 3 o'clock in the morning so they could line up for these gifts of health that were being given.
We're here today in the Dominican Republic at our medical and dental clinic. We have promoted this clinic for the last several months in the area through the local churches, letting the people know the types of services that we're going to have available. So we have brought a team of probably about 24 to 25 medical and dental providers, along with our other staff of about 100 total individuals helping in the clinic this week.
One of the dentists came to me, I was there for a little bit, and he said, wow, I just pulled the biggest tooth that I'd ever pulled. They were running the whole time. They did fillings, they did extractions.
I need to get her numb. If she's too nervous, I don't want to scare her.
Here in the Dominican, they don't have any medical coverage for dental care. So having the dentist there taking care of their dental needs was a great blessing.
And it really helps that several members of our team are bilingual. Now, I'm not qualified in medical work, and I decided, well, I've done a little construction, I'll go there. But I've not laid a lot of block. But they had some people there that were guiding, and they're making little corrections and teaching, and I actually came a day late.
And then we're going to look on the line just a little bit. Just needs more.
There was a boy that was there that was working beside me. He was saying, no, Pastor Doug, there's a smooth side to the block. You got to put the rough side down and the smooth side up. He's teaching me how to lay block. So someone had a welder out and the generator was running. I got excited because I actually took a welding class and I knew how to weld a little bit. And so I mentioned that and I said, oh, I can't do block, but I can weld. So I was having fun running the welder and sparks going down my shoes. But it was great, everybody working together using their gifts in building up these walls.
You got here all sweaty and stinky and tired, hot.
I gotta get a drink.
We built 3 layers of bricks. Four layers. 4 layers of bricks.
Si se puede.
Not only did we do the building part, as you mentioned, Pastor Doug, but there was another church, an older church, that needed a facelift. The paint had been peeling, and there was a lot of work that had to be done to kind of clean it up and make it look nice. And so part of the team painted the inside of the church. They also went outside and they painted the exterior of the church, and now it looks brand new. And what a beautiful spot right there in the midst of that busy community. Here is a nice, clean, beautiful church. We also did a VBS. You know, Dominican is not like the US. They're very open to Christianity. A year ago, when we came to kind of set things up, there was a public school, an elementary public school. We went and visited the school and we spoke to the principal and we told her that we're coming from the US. Would it be possible for us to do maybe a program with the kids? We told her what we were going to do, and she says, reading the Bible or sharing the Bible is always welcome in my school. We had a team that went to the school, hundreds of kids, and they did a Bible program. They played with the kids, they taught them Bible lessons, and it was just a wonderful experience to see them interacting with the local community.
In addition to everything else that was happening, we heard there was an orphanage, and we had a whole busload of our people that went over to minister to the orphans.
And what a journey getting there. We had about a busload, a big bus, so about 40, 50 people that went. Well, the bus could only go so far, and then it stopped when it couldn't go any further because of the road and the conditions. And they're all loaded up in the back of the pickup trucks on a very rough road. They have several houses, and the way they've divided up the orphans, each orphan is connected to a home where they're not only meeting the physical needs of the kids, but spiritually as well.
11 to 1, they have with their parents, and then in the afternoon, they have a classroom.
Our team had a wonderful time interacting with the kids and giving gifts. People gave gifts from the US, and they came and provided some supplies that the children needed. And of course, it didn't take very long for the orphan kids to get connected to our kids that came along with us and the missionaries, and pretty soon they were playing together and just having a wonderful time, even playing a game of soccer outside, and the adults got involved. It was a great blessing, not only to the orphanage, but also to our people.
When we come on a trip like this, we try to have it be a broad spectrum where we're not only doing practical things, we want to do spiritual training. So we work with the conference leaders, and they assembled pastors from the whole Dominican Republic that came together to this location where we were able to do some training in soul winning and evangelism.
The joy of the Lord is your strength. People will be attracted if you are a happy person.
We had more than 300 pastors, pretty much all of the pastors on the island, the Dominican side. We talked about the importance of the cycle of evangelism. We spoke about characteristics of a healthy church, how you can bring Jesus out of every story in the Bible. The leadership said they really appreciated. The pastors said how much they enjoyed it. They were so responsive and energetic. It was a wonderful experience preaching to them.
He says, tomorrow if we get 3 rows, he'd be shocked. And I said, oh, we'll get 3 rows.
Maranatha leaders basically told the church members as they saw the construction project unfold, they said, now, these volunteers from the U.S., they're here to contribute, but don't expect too much. And they had no idea how many people were going to show up and how much we were going to get done in 4 days of construction.
I didn't think you were going to get this far.
I didn't either. This is great.
We had people literally from 7 years old to 86 years old that were helping with the program. Many of them had never met before, but in working together, they built friendships and relationships that probably going to last a lifetime. This church is just totally going to transform that community. Matter of fact, they told us that this is going to be the most secure building in the community, and it is going to be the designated storm shelter for everyone in the area because it's so well built. I was at the building site, Karen was over at the clinic, and when I went there on one of the days to look at what was happening, it just moved me to tears because there were surgeries that were happening.
That's right, Pastor Doug. Some amazing stories of people that came in. On one occasion, a little girl came with her mom. She was, I think, about 2 or 3 years of age, but she had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on her foot.
Hiding the evidence.
The doctor was able to remove this extra finger of both of her hands, and it just changed her life. She's going to grow up now with normal looking hands, and so that was a great blessing.
Yeah, I thought to myself when I heard that testimony, this whole trip with 150 people was worthwhile just for that girl. We are also able to partner with another ministry based in Florida called Share the Love, and they donated 40 brand new wheelchairs to the people around Santo Domingo that are handicapped in various ways.
It was one of the highlights of the whole trip, just seeing the joy on the faces of these people who were struggling to move around, and here they get a high quality wheelchair. I think everyone that was there from our team, they just said, man, this is worth it. This was worth the time, the money to make a difference in people's lives. What a joy to be able to minister to people.
El balance final de muertos tras el desplome de la discoteca Jëan en República Dominicana cerró en 221.
In the midst of all of this ministry, there was a historic tragedy in that a concrete roof collapsed on a club filled with 800 people, and over 200 people died.
The whole atmosphere, as we drove around and met with people, the country was really in grief. The president of the country declared that for the next week, it's going to be a time of mourning. We had prepared for this big event, and we thought, what are we going to do? No public gatherings are allowed.
Ministerio tan conocido, Amazing Facts.
The conference president, he says, we've got a radio station and it's played across the whole country, and I hear that it even reaches into Puerto Rico. We had to wake up at dark 30 because we were coming from the West Coast, and so there's quite a time change.
Entonces, como para unir lo que pasa en el país, todas estas tragedias.
Connected with the tragedy that's happening in the country now.
¿Dónde?
This side, Doug.
Bienvenido a la República Dominicana.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We spent at least 45 minutes talking about what we are doing in the country.
We're involved in medical outreach. Estamos haciendo alcance médico para la comunidad. Construcción de iglesia con Maranata.
Evangelism training.
Sharing with them about the upcoming rally, the great Christian gathering that was taking place in the city.
The Lord does not want anyone to perish. If you're listening to my voice right now, you're one of those people that Jesus wants to save.
It was so worthwhile to just hear the reports of people that were touched from the program.
The conference president contacted the representative for the various church groups in the country, and they permitted our event to take place. So starting on Friday evening, we were invited to go speak. It was a culmination of an evangelistic series that took place. And so you were there, you were speaking. That was gearing up for the big event that took place in a park. The weather report called for rain, heavy rain coming in Sabbath morning right there in the area of the park. The conference was praying, we were praying, and God heard our prayers. It was a beautiful day. It was hot, but we had cloud cover. The pastor told us beforehand, he said, we're expecting about 10,000 people. Sometimes you hear those numbers on your mission trip and you think, okay. But I think he was right. We were packed.
The morning meeting was just epic. And there were so many different parts of the program, and it changed a little bit. And as often happens when you're on a mission trip, the programs go longer. And so while I was waiting to get ready to preach, there was the call of nature. And this is an outdoor pavilion. And when we went over to the plastic bathrooms, there was a long line. I thought, I don't know if I'm going to have time before I have to preach.
Thank you. Getting first-class treatment here.
It was hot. I did some preaching, you did some preaching. You're standing in front of those lights. You got 10,000 people. You're just sweating while you're preaching.
I took my hand and went like that to just keep the sweat out of my eyes, and it was just water was rolling off. Might need to buy a new suit after this. At one point during the message, I was so hot, and our media team was flying a drone to get some great shots. I saw the drone come in, and when it flew over my head, I felt the downdraft from the propellers, and I thought, don't move, stay right there. I was hoping he'd just hold the drone right there and cool me off. And they had a mega powerful sound system, because what you see in the pavilion, that's only a fraction of the people. They are all scattered throughout this park with speakers under trees, and there were just thousands of them coming from all over the country.
How inspiring that was to preach to more than 10,000 people, not only in the tent, they were sitting around the back. They had a number of baptisms. It was really a miracle that this event was allowed to continue, the only public gathering probably in the whole country, and we were able to proceed. A different part of the city gathered together in the afternoon. Not everyone could come for the morning program. We're talking about thousands of people. Same park, but a different venue. We must have had over 8,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it was close to 10,000 in the afternoon.
And not only were church members there, but we know that there's a lot of people there from the community, including the mayor of Santo Domingo.
It was a beautiful evening. There was still some cloud cover, but the sun is beginning to set. The temperature had come down.
And it was a beautiful occasion because it was a combination of an inspirational meeting, encouraging people to accept Jesus, to share Jesus, and also praying with the nation over the tragedy when this ceiling collapsed and killed hundreds of people. People were saying, why did God allow this? And their hearts seemed to open up to spiritual things.
If you are covered by the blood of Christ,
Si estás cubierto por la sangre del Cordero,
you can survive this trial.
And it just sort of capped off this weekend. It was so inspiring and encouraging. Amazing Facts is all about evangelism. We had a conference that was committed to evangelism. So we had a great time working together.
Yeah, one of the reasons we know that God is blessing is coordinating a construction project with medical projects, dental projects, children, VBS program, a big convocation, everybody traveling thousands of miles, getting here and getting safely home. It's a miracle.
And what a blessing, not only to the local people, but even to those who serve. You know, you've heard the saying, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I think everyone that came on this mission trip can testify that that was true. Just the friendship and the family. They were sad to part ways at the end of our final meeting, and people said their goodbyes. They're asking, well, when's the next mission trip? Where are we going to go next year?
What really amazed some of the local people is, what's wrong with these crazy Americans that they would pay so much money to be miserable out in the burning sun so that they could serve people? And it just really sent a message to them that this is what the gospel is about, giving of your time, your means, that you might be a blessing to others.
You know, we really believe that when it comes to church growth and evangelism, not only focusing on your local area is important, but reaching out. You know, Jesus gave us the Great Commission, go to all the world. So at Amazing Facts, we want to do everything we can, not only through media, but actually getting out there and interacting with people, ministering to their needs, winning their confidence.
None of this would have happened if it wasn't for the generosity of the Amazing Facts supporters, because Amazing Facts did a lot of the heavy lifting, along with Granite Bay, to make this event possible, where so many people were baptized and hearts were touched and thousands of lives were changed.